Hear ye, hear ye. Be warned that there are spoilers and maybe even some potential spoilers in this piece of work. This is all based on publicly available information that, most importantly, are not leaks from CIG. They do not count in this work, and I haven't actually even taken part in them. I am aware that apparently the entire story has been leaked over the years, but I will not refer to that and assume two things: either that the story has changed over this last decade, or that it may have been misdirection. Probably not, but still. So basically, the two rules are only publicly available and released information, and no unofficial leaks are allowed. This is an attempt by me to try and reconstruct the story of Squadron 42 based on toilet paper.
Because of the impending release of Squadron 42 in 2026, I don't know if we're going to make it. I just know that we're going to do every single thing possible to make it.
Squadron 42. An game I have waited for over a decade. But I'm tired of waiting, tired of being bound by this endless patience. Thusly, we must cast off these mortal shackles. No longer shall I wait, bound by CIG. I will utilize the innumerable clips, posts, and articles to duct tape together the story of Squadron 42 so I can finally have Squadron 42 at home. Today, dear viewer, we are going to manifest the story of Squadron 42 together so we can play it in our heads. Today, it's finally time for set. No, it's Squadron time. We begin with you hiding away in your bunk, signing documents for Navy Pilot School, but you convince yourself it's not gay because it's Henry Cavill. In the Navy, once we're away, it's not gay. Fuck. You find yourself on the port observation deck, and it is revealed that you're a shapeshifter.
What do I fucking say? You done the mic for? Playing your fucking mouth, mate. I'm a grown man. You sent me a message first, yeah? I live in Smethwick, Birmingham. If you want the fucking brawl, come down Smethwick, Hospitality G. I'll come out of the house, and I'll break your fucking legs, you little prick. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm fucking saying? Sergeant, I'll rip your fucking dust box out your phone, son. Look. Shut up, you dickhead, now. Fuck off. Don't send me another message. Fuck off.
Sir.
Eddies. I used to do the same thing when I was first coming up.
You're a member of the crew of the UEES Gauntlet at this point in the story, making your peace before the battle commences. The captain of the ship approaches you and is revealed to be Gillian Anderson, where she reminds us that we are not a hotshot pilot just yet, just a lowly starman turret gunner.
Captain McLaren to the bridge. Captain McLaren to the bridge.
It's showtime. Your good friend Marcus tells you to go put some pants on. He later picks you up at your bunk at the scene of the crime, and you later seal Marcus's fate with a fist bump of death.
You got it.
But time to go to your own turret.
God damn it, Goofy, get the hell out of there!
Special Officer
So glad you could join us.
Attention, Second Fleet. This is Admiral Bishop. Attention, Fleet. This is Admiral Bishop.
Admiral Doug, Admiral Gary, Admiral Susan, Admiral Bishop, Admiral Bishop.
Attention, Fleet. This is Bishop. This is Admiral Bishop.
About time, Shop.
Admiral Weed, who is the baldy right next to Bishop, is the man who's officially the captain of the UES Krigergari, and he will become important to the story later. After this endless wait, the Vanduul finally appear, and the battle commences. And after some time, Circus tells the Akuri to maybe chill a bit, but the Akuri tells him he's got this and he needs to stop being such a pussy. Go. The Akuri later falls for the simplest trick in the book, the humble flanking maneuver, by Squadron 42. The Akuri, realizing his mistake, decides to pass the spear torch axe thing to Circus. He then decides that he's had enough and wants to rage quit. This flanking action has led to a human but Pyrrhic victory. The Krigergari is dead in the water and unable to escape the oncoming ramming attempt by the Vanduul kingship.
All non-essential personnel are dismissed to abandon ship. If you want to volunteer to stay, we can sure use your help.
This clip got copyrighted so damn fast.
Alright.
Captain Gillian sees the Vanduul's attempt to ram her father's ship and she decides, no you. It is time for Captain Gillian to do a bit of ramming herself with yet another flanking attack. It appears that the Vanduul's major weakness is the left and the right. But despite her valiant effort, Captain Gillian got wrecked by bullshit game mechanics. You decide to save Gillian for later and refuse to allow her to dramatically sacrifice herself. This is your story after all. There are two branching options as I see it. Either we find ourselves drifting in space with a dying Gillian, or most likely to escape the blast of the kingship we escaped to the planet's surface. And we probably find ourselves crashing near New Corvo, which is the capital of Vega II. Gillian's fate is sealed as she dies in the pod. Shame really that she didn't have a no-death clause in her contract and the regen technology came just a year later. Whoopsie! Yes, the Battle of Vega II took place in 2945 and regen technology started coming online in 2946. Yikes. But hold on just 1 minute. Why did these Vanduul attack Vega?
The acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial...
Some have suggested it was in fact Bishop himself that provoked the attack on Vega II in order to start his war on the Vanduul. But for what reason would he do this? No one knows. Maybe he was tired of setback after setback for humanity after having lost several systems without humanity ever seeming to properly respond. Gillian Anderson clutched a last win for us by getting us signed up for the Flight Academy via her recommendation at the last minute.
Your application to the Flight Academy has been reconsidered. Captain McLaren had submitted a letter of recommendation on your behalf before the battle.
It's a missile ready for deployment.
During our stint in the hospital and recovery, we are probably on Terra or even likely at the UEE main hub, MacArthur. We will see several different things on the news, the two key things I believe being the following. The funeral of Gillian Anderson and those lost during the Battle of Vega II being the first. And the second being Bishop using the battle and the death of his daughter as a springboard to summon the Senate for a speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, this emergency session is called to order. Admiral Bishop, you have the floor.
For 200 years, we have battled the Vanduul. We have caught these attacks, raids, or skirmishes.
After his speech, he riles up the Senate and the Imperator into officially declaring war. And I surmise it gives us an option to choose to either be gung-ho and pro-war, or more guarded and worry about the possible implications of this conflict. So the Flight Academy is probably going to include several things. Maybe a bit of a refresher course when it comes to FPS combat, but main focus being on flying. According to the Vermont National Guard, it takes 3 to 4 years to become a fighter pilot. I'm not going to verify this, I'm just going to assume it's correct. As I've not been able to find any other information on this, I'm just going to pull a number right out of my arse and say that we're probably going to be there for roughly 2 years with time skips. And during our time at the Flight Academy, I think it's the perfect time to show us our good friend Circus struggling in Vanduul space to rally support, especially after the defeat of his clan at the hands of humans. It is the first kingship loss ever to humanity after hundreds of years of conflict, so this stain on his clan and reputation is a plot thread I hope they pull on. Evidence for the Thule updates appeared to be the flashes which we see during the hospitalization section of the trailer. But you never saw Thule during the battle, so either this means we will directly encounter Thule in the future or these are images of Thule's rampage to claw himself back into power. At the same time, though suffering from the loss of his daughter, Admiral Bull Bishop is riding high, constructing his new toy based on the Vanduul kingship, the Retribution. What potentially adds to the theory that Bishop either provoked or probably more accurately wanted the war is that the Retribution was laid down as Project Guardian in 2942, 3 years before the Battle of Vega II. But an issue arises for Bishop. During the construction of the Retribution, the Polo Initiative is launched. This initiative seeks to reduce the Navy's spending and therefore threatens the completion of the Retribution. And without this weapon, Bishop probably believes that humanity does not stand a chance against the Vanduul. And during the start of the prologue, we can actually hear a couple of the crew members chatting about the Polo Initiative.
It's this Polo Initiative horse shit. High Command's been freaking out about having to make cuts, so everybody's taking hits. Winslow and the Banshee told me they got denied on extra ammo for their main gun. Almost like the suits on F1 attack.
But after Bishop's stunning victory at the Battle of Vega II, the Polo Initiative dies. The Vampire Lord finally unleashes us into the verse and we are sent to our first posting, the Stanton, an Idris frigate which you desperately want to own. You get on the Stanton and you are immediately accosted by Dumb and Dumber, or as they are called, Webster and Morrow. You choose either to do the tour or not, but this choice will ultimately seal the fate of Morrow, because if you don't come with him, he dies of sadness later during the game. Tour or not, you eventually end up in the briefing room with Rona Mitra, where she gets you situated with what's up. And she assures you you're definitely not going to a shithole backpost that nobody cares about.
In our last 2 assignments, we've gone from rescue and disaster relief in Ferren to perimeter sweeps along the Jean front. We handle all sorts of theatres, all sorts of situations. Now, some people have got big dreams of thrashing Duel out with Bishop and think a post like this isn't worth their time, that this is a joke assignment. So I tell every new transfer this only once. We may be a small crew, but the work we do matters. And if you don't respect that, I'll make sure you spend your career scrubbing decks in the darkest corner of the Empire.
After your little rendezvous with Rona, you get to meet the captain of the Stanton, Captain Onion, and he tells you who you'll be flying with.
We got you flying with Lieutenant Commander Colton. He's one of our best.
I didn't know where to put this, so here it goes. Welcome, Armourer Flagger, who should definitely know barrel discipline, but at least he's got trigger discipline.
And James was rubbish with the shotgun.
Whoa! And after getting situated, you strike off into that great void and start heading towards Odin for your first deployment on the Stanton.
Sir?
Who the hell are you?
I'm your new wingman, sir. The name's...
You want me to learn your name? You live long enough for me to care.
Your first meeting with the angry grandpa who doesn't care about you or your name because you'll have to live long enough for him to care.
Who the hell are you?
We've all heard that a million times by now. But this, nevertheless, is the start of our relationship with the person who will become our mentor. Our first mission will be the Aseado platform, which will be the first mission we ever conduct with our new friend Colton, where we do a thing to secure another thing to complete the thing. I believe due to the size of the Odin system, there's going to be quite a degree of freedom here with how we decide to take on certain missions and how we choose to explore. As there are several branching stories, maybe the particular order we choose to do missions will affect the outcomes of certain relationships and missions. Missions like hitting outposts, investigating OMC's presence in the system, uncovering evidence of collusion between Archon Station and the OMC, and the eventual Jean and Vanduul presence. This is also probably around the time when you actually get introduced to Gimli as well, which is an old friend of Colton's.
Oh good, we can't hack it from this side. Graves, we got a locked door. Can you give us access?
No, I'm afraid that's a negative, Steve. I would have to add you to our system to give you override permissions, and there's a lot involved in that. It won't happen quickly.
Okay, we'll figure.
The first human offensive of the war begins, called Operation Mandrake. This operation is spearheaded by the now completed Retribution in 2946. The 65th Battle Group is assembled by Admiral Bull Bishop and heads towards the Oberon system to counter a Vanduul clan preparing to mount an offensive against it. Bishop leads the fleet to victory in Oberon. Although no kingships are present, several larger vessels are reported as destroyed. Operation Mandre continues during a posting in Odin, this leading to some frustration amongst the crew that they are not permitted to take part in the action on their backwater posting. But as Rona Mitra was clear to point out, she reminds the crew to keep their pants on and focus on their work. Suddenly, one day, Admiral Susan disappears while operating within Vanduul space, leading to much speculation as to what has happened and why they've lost contact. You go to Fortune's Cross Station, where Uncle Colton takes you for a round of snacks and ice cream when you've been a very good boy. You meet up with Agent Trejo that gives you information on the OMC and where you may find them.
Trejo will probably appear to be on the more flirty side, but this is a suspicious thing. Why would a highly skilled agent do that? Probably a ploy for her to manipulate the player to do what she wants to prioritize her requests.
I take back everything I ever said about you, Navy.
After all, why would a woman have interest in you?
Oh my god, you're so cute!
You see, she's the lone agent in the whole system representing the advocacy and per extension the UEE. And if you're only able to reliably rely on yourself, for the most part, like her, you have to be smart or you won't last long in her line of work. I think possibly prioritizing her requests could potentially be detrimental to what the captain of the Stanton ultimately wants. Like this, for example, you're given the choice to either continue the patrol or head straight to Trejo.
Sounds good. See you soon. Well, what do you say, kid? Continue the patrol or meet up with Trejo? Colin.
The potential implications may be that we miss something during the rest of the patrol, or that Trejo is left in a far more wounded state if we don't get to her fast enough. Interesting.
Because of the implication.
Remember, people, do not trust the glowies. I know this is insane, but believe it or not, as it turns out, Ben Mendelsohn is actually playing a villain. And Wexler, his character, is not the good guy. Imagine it, this guy, this fella, him right here, playing a villain. I don't believe it, that's insane. That's never happened before. Wexler is shown to be a bad guy working with the OMC, causing Gimli to switch sides to help us destroy his schemes. But this leaves Gimli stretched as he's still trying to save the innocents on the station whilst helping you deal with the OMC threat.
Well, you were right, Colton. That man is a complete ass.
The OMC are being attacked at what appears to be their home base by Vanduul forces. This probably being made easy for them as the OMC is distracted by the presence of Navy forces in their system. Sadly, there's no neck stabbing, but I suppose backstabbing will simply have to suffice. Now, this aspect had me wondering, what in particular causes the Vanduul to attack the Odin system? There's no character here that Thule knows of, so there isn't any revenge angle. It may be a response to potential attacks made by Bishop in Vanduul space, but where did they come from? Either Nyx or Kellogg, I'd assume. The Chief Mechanic Webster being on the Archon station directly in the office of Mr. Wexler points to me but one thing: the Stanton being destroyed. Whilst you and Colton are away, the Vanduul take this time to strike whilst the Stanton is distracted dealing with the OMC on and around the Archon station. This leads to a crushing defeat where most of the crew are either killed or forced to flee onto Archon station itself. You and Colton return either during the attack or in its aftermath to look for survivors. Captain Onion sadly goes down with his ship alongside his XO, Rona. The old man's backstory. Here we have two options. Either the captain of the Stanton reveals his tragic backstory to us, or it will be told directly by him after the destruction of the Stanton. The captain of the Stanton tells us if our relationship with Colton is low, and Colton tells us himself if our reputation with him is high. Colton, having finally grown to accept you and your confidence, sees the distress, anger, and hurt on you. You have lost before, but you have never had defeat sting you so hard. Old man, depending on his level of respect, approaches you to console and calm you. He decides to reveal his backstory, cutting through the rumors you had previously heard on the Stanton. Colton was a member of the Lost Squadron mentioned briefly in the prologue.
Have you heard about this show, Lost Squad?
Are they seriously doing another show about the fall of Caliban?
Supposedly out next year. Supposedly out next year. Supposedly out next year. Supposedly out next year.
Meaning that he took part in the fall of Caliban where his entire squad except for him was wiped out, the fall of Caliban being the latest loss by humanity to the Vanduul.
Then I got high.
After the unfortunate destruction of the Stanton, where most of its crew were left dead or Webster, rejoice. Weed is back. Admiral Reed and his ship the Krigergari are the first to respond to the distress signal sent by the Stanton. The final survivors of the Stanton are tallied, and we are then transferred to Squadron 42 under Admiral Weed, and you are desperate for some payback. Although the Krigergari by itself is a massive ship, it does appear to be alone, as we don't see any other ships accompanying it or escorting it. This suggests to me that the UEE's resources are stretched thin by Operation Mandre, especially after having lost contact with Admiral Bishop. This is one of those things I've been thinking about. How do the Jean fit into the story, and how do they come to be relevant? After having meditated and consulted the spirits, I believe that it may have to do something with the Vanduul. Perchance, perhaps, or maybe even possibly, they are the reason why the Vanduul entered the system. We can clearly see a stricken Jean ship, and I wonder what has caused it to be in this state. Either it can be that the coil which it appears to be in took care of it, or much more possibly, the Vanduul pursued it and disabled the ship in order to take something from the Jean. Or, as an alternative theory, is that the OMC disabled the ship in one of their ambushes, utilizing similar methods as they did to disable the Starfarers. They took something from the ship, a MacGuffin perhaps, of great import to their base, which is the reason why the Vanduul attacked their base to relieve them of it. This is what ultimately caused the Vanduul to enter the system, find the human infrastructure to then begin attacking the humans in the system. Hence why you are sent looking after the hauler to identify why the Jean went to, or maybe fled to Odin. And as it appears, it looks like the Jean also want their thing back. Wade, Colton, and you are hungry for payback following the destruction of the Stanton, eager to deal the same amount of hurt you have taken. Admiral Wade, a disciplined disciple of Bishop, is no less bold, deciding an aggressive retaliation is in order. He leads his ship, the Bengal-class UEES Krigergari, into the coil in an audacious maneuver to ambush the Vanduul within the tight chasms of this cosmic phenomenon. To success or defeat, I do not know, but I would assume success because of my next point. Thule is revealed to be leading the forces in Odin, perhaps even directly, leading to a brief encounter with the player where it looks like he's about to get you, but by some convoluted means you barely escape with your life, perchance being this moment when you fall. So this, big tube thing we see here. After some victories against the Vanduul forces in Odin, it is revealed that the Thule clan fleet has been rebuilt. The Vanduul in Odin were a part of a larger prodding and recon mission to find a way into the human systems with a straight shot. But a straight shot where? Whilst Bishop has been out in Vanduul space gaining victory after victory, it is actually revealed to be a Gaugamela-esque ploy to lure away the strongest human forces. This to leave human space vulnerable for an attack by opening a hole in their defenses. The Vanduul start their attack against human space, leaving Squadron 42 with a difficult decision not to head back to defend, but instead to enter into Vanduul space to search for the missing Bishop to save humanity's core. And this is where the story of Squadron 42-1, the squadroning, ends.
This is not good.
Thank you very much, Hexgirl Idol, for appearing in this piece of shit. Do take a look at her socials. She does YouTube, she does streaming, she draws, she sells her own merch. She's a multi-talented person. Check her out. I'm playing an exposure. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for making it to this point. Please do take the moment to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you believe I'm wrong at any point, I just want to say you won't be able to prove me wrong because the game is never coming out anyway. Actually, you know what? What happens if the game does come out in 2026? What will I do? What will I do then? Talk about the game instead of mindless and endless speculation? You know what, CIG? Don't release the game. Just don't. It's better this way. You are a member of the crew of the UEES. You are a member of the UEES Gauntlet. At this point in the story, you are a member of the UEES. You are a member of the crew of the United Earth Empire's ship. You are a member of the UEES Gauntlet. You are a member of the crew of the Gauntlet. At this point in the story, you are a member of the crew of the Gauntlet. At this point. Are you fucking joking, man?